It's one of our most popular segments, Sandlot to the Show.
Yes, let's go.
Get that glove in there as you're throwing and keep it in.
Try to get a little bit more of an angle this way.
Yeah, that's what I'm liking right now.
Be on the backside, and then you can still do the drill.
Start throwing 95, might get a little shoulder sore.
This is just awesome. Stop that backflip, though.
I love Sandlot to the Show.
Left-handers just look so smooth.
Wow, that's pretty good.
He's got a little Marcus Stroman in him.
And I like this one right here. Boom.
Some things you're naturally gifted with.
That's great work right there.
Good stuff. Hi, welcome to this special edition of Sandlot to the Show. I'm Robert Flores. Thank you for joining us from wherever you're joining us, on Twitch, on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, and especially on MLB.com. This is going to be a special stream because we are going to take, and you are going to hear from a handful of our most talented and respected analysts, and they're here to make your young player better, more prepared, and to stay sharp during this offseason before the 2021 campaign. Now, if you're not familiar with Sandlot to the Show, or you just stumbled upon the stream, that little montage gave you a little background. People submit videos of their young player all the time using the hashtag Sandlot to the Show. And our analysts throughout the year, whether it be on MLB Central, the show I host, or on MLB Tonight, and we break down those videos. And you're going to be hearing from those analysts as they join me live this evening. Mark DeRosa, Sean Casey, Bill Ripken, and our first guest, World Series champion, former Mets pitcher, former A's pitcher, Ron Darling. And every big leaguer starts somewhere. And Ron Darling started right here, outside Massachusetts, outside Boston, Millbury, Massachusetts. This is vintage Ron Darling. That's Little League Ron Darling. This is Big League Ron Darling. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, Roflo. I can barely remember those days when I was 10 and 11 years old, but I thought the kids might like to see those only because they're hearing from us here as former big leaguers, but there was a time we had the same dream.
Hey, big picture. I'm sure you get asked all the time, what can my son or daughter do, or my nephew or niece? What can they do to get to the big leagues or to play college ball? What do you generally think when you hear that question?
You know, when I hear it, Roflo, I say the same thing almost every single time. One, make sure that your son or daughter is enjoying playing. Now, enjoying playing doesn't mean that they're kidding or fooling around. You ask anyone who plays, you enjoy it when you learn how to play it correctly. It doesn't matter if it's baseball or it's chess. And then the second thing, and I think is the most important, is that I think everyone wants to push their son or daughter as high as they can go, whether it's high school, college, or eventually, if they're very lucky, to go to the pros. But I always say this, the pros kind of find you, you don't find them. So if you're good enough, it doesn't matter if you're at a small high school or a small college or from high school or undrafted. If you have talent, they will identify you.
Well, you can, and I'm talking to you guys watching right now, no matter what platform you're watching, send us questions. We'll be able to answer them in real time. Now, we have already pre-selected the videos, so our analysts have taken a look at them and have some thoughts before they share them with you here on the stream. But if you have a question, definitely drop it in the chat. As I said, we have a cast of characters and a group of analysts that are eager to share their wisdom with you. In addition to Ron Darling, let's bring in Bill Ripken and Sean Casey, who now join us. Sean Casey joining us from our MLB Network studios, Studio 42 in Secaucus. Bill, starting with you. Good evening. How are you?
I'm doing well, and looks like Ronnie looks good, and I can see why you led with him because, you know, he had some brownie points with his youth pictures that he already sent in, but he also articulated, you know, how you get to the big leagues and what you do. And Case has been working like a split triple header today up at the network, so this is going to be fun.
Yeah, it's seriously, Rip. This is my third show, I think, today. I'm all over the place, but I love it. This is one of my favorites, though. The Sandlot to the Show. You know, getting to break down some of these kids is great stuff.
All right. Well, why don't we jump into it here? Bill, I believe you have the first piece of video here. This is Avery, who's taking some cuts in the cage.
Let me check him out. Where are you, Avery? You know what I like about this? And I knew that Case was going to be on this show. and Case was going to be in the studio, so he might be able to get lathered up. But what I like about this guy is he is very much in control. And I think that it's fair to say that every hitter that plays in the big leagues is on balance and is on point. And this guy looks like he has a routine that is just over and over and over and very sound. And I wanted to ask Case a question on this and say, Case, is there ever a point in time where you might say, hey, get a little bit more out of control? You know, let the big dog eat, because he's very much in control, and it looks like it's a very controlled point A to point B path with the barrel of the bat. But sometimes I'd like to say to this guy, I'd say, look, dude, let the big dog eat. And if you swing a time and fall down, we can maybe come back from that. But I want to see how much damage this guy could actually do.
Well, I was going to say the same thing, Rip, that whole let it eat, let it eat. I think when I watch Avery right here, I think there's more in the tank for his bat speed, more bat speed with his hands. He gets out to that front leg. I think that needs to stiffen up a little bit too. See how he kind of keeps going? I'd like to see that front leg stiffen up a little, Avery. You get out on that front side, and then when you go to hit, you want that leg to come back on contact. So I like it, but I think your hands could be more dynamic, a little bit more of a whip of your hands to create some more bat speed.
Hey, Case, I know this from, sharing space up with you in New Jersey and knowing you for a long time. And you tell your boys to try to hit homers to center field. And that's one of their favorite things. That's not creating bad habits. If you're trying to hit the ball as far as you can to dead center, it means you're getting everything together, you're gathering your energy, and you're letting the big dog eat. So I think right there, Avery can go ahead and every now and then come unglued a little bit just to see what that feels like. But I love the fact that he does have a routine, and I would love to see this video be submitted again from behind so I could see the flight of the ball. But what I do like was the fact that everything looked like it was sound. And some guys in the big leagues, I think Anthony Rendon is one of them. I think we just saw Corey Seager is another one. They let the speed of the pitch and the power of the pitch at game time let them do damage, because I guarantee during batting practice, they hit line drives everywhere. And that's kind of looks what Avery kind of has with that swing, is the line drive swing. But I'd like to see a video taken from behind him, and I want to see a little bit of ball flight. But I like everything that he was doing.
All right, that's good stuff. All right, so that's some video from the cage. Let's get on the mound, and let's go to New England and New Hampshire. Ron Darling, this is Simon.
Well, I grew up in New Hampshire, and this is Meredith Hansen's nephew, Simon. First big league name. Simon is a big league name. Now, on this temporary mound, pitching from the stretch position. Great arm action, great whip, great follow through. Looks a little bit, doesn't it, like Jacob deGrom when I see it. Okay. Now, the only thing I would change for Simon is that you see how he throws across his body. He's a little 3/4. I never want to change anyone's natural way of throwing. I want to work within that. But I bet you, Simon, at some point, if you draw a line from your foot straight to the catcher, and you can still throw a little across your body, but you want to try to get that landing foot almost on that line, that's straight to the catcher, not only will you throw more strikes, but you also will throw harder. Nothing really to criticize with this arm action. This looks like what I wanted to do when I was 12 or 14 years old. Great arm action, DeGrom-like, great push off, and I love it. I mean, this is very difficult to be doing this with Casey and Ripken. These guys could be college coaches, big league coaches at any point. And it's fun to see a young kid from the Northeast, that's where I'm from, pitching inside because the weather's so bad, and showing this kind of form. I like it. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah,
I like
Ronnie,
it too.
let me ask you a question, because you said you don't want to change a whole lot from the natural part of it, because, when you use Jacob deGrom, I know that he's pretty much point A, point B. He's on straight line, and he can hit the outside corner. But when I'm watching this, and I know it's just a loop, if he's throwing firm with strikes at that age, you kind of want to let him kind of figure things out on his own right there, because now if he's throwing up and in, up and in, up and in to a right-hander, then it's almost automatic you change him, because you say, okay, this is problematic. But there's a few guys out there in the big leagues that still crossfire and still are effective at throwing strikes.
You know, Rip, you make a great point, is that he does crossfire, and if he's throwing strikes, that's great. And I was a crossfire guy too, but I had to learn to pitch more straight to the plate, to open up that hip a little more, not because I couldn't throw strikes, but really because it was putting such a strain on my arm, throwing across your body. Think about Jake Arrieta, who's been one of the best pitchers in the game, 2015 Cy Young. No one throws across his body more. How has he been able to do it? Well, he's built like Gronkowski. He's built like a tight end. That's the only way he can do it. So I think it's just mechanical-wise to take care of your arm. It's better at some point to not throw across your body as much. Keep that natural throw, but try to get more online.
All right. And once again, we'd like to welcome those of you watching us here on MLB.com or wherever you're joining us and however you're joining us. Let's get back to the cage here. And Sean Casey, this one's from you. This is 13-year-old Brooke from Michigan.
Oh, yeah. Listen, I really like Brooke's swing. I like how she's setting up out in the backyard. You can just hit. You need a net. But what I love about Brooke, I love about her separation here. Watch her load that she gets. She gets back, and then that front leg does a great job of really driving to the baseball, right? One thing I would say when I looked at this, Brooke, is if you can see me, can you bring me in here a little tighter?
Yeah, we'll bring you in full.
Yeah, so Brooke, great swing. I love it. I love that you're out there off the tee. I love that you're hitting into the net. I think it's wonderful. One thing I noticed though, when you go back with your hands and then you go to that front side, I feel like you brought your hands with you just a little bit, right? Because when you go to that front side, you want to try and have your hands stay where they're at. They don't even have to go back, but you want to try and hold that position, right? That's how you walk away from your hands. You really get that bow and arrow effect, right? That's where you get your power. So a little bit right there, Brooke, I saw you step to the front side, carry your hands just a little bit. You got a great swing. You've got great bat speed. You have great rotation with your legs and great rotation with that back hip coming through. I think you'd still gain more power if when you go forward, you just hold those hands an inch back to give yourself a little separation. You're going to see you're going to hit the ball a little bit further doing that. But that's a great swing, and I loved it the first time I saw it.
Hey, Sean, well, the other thing that the main thing that I loved is the fact that she's out there, by herself, putting the ball on the tee by herself. I mean, the parents can take the kids to practice and to the games and to the instructors. But as we were saying at the top, if the kids don't really want it themselves, then it really defeats the purpose.
Well, that's why Brooke's going to be really good. I mean, for that reason right there, like you have to motivate yourself, right? You have to want to get out there and take the swings. The only way you get better is when you're in the cages by yourself or you're outside in the yard by yourself. You start to feel your body and how your body works. And so that's so great that Brooke's out there by herself doing her thing. And that's why she's going to be a really good softball player.
All right, very good. All right, Bill, I know you love giving tips about fielding drills, especially this time of year. This is Gavin doing some glove work.
Yeah, I tell you what, I saw this thing. It jumped out at me. It was the very first one in the clip was that little backhand that Gavin did. And for a kid being inside, and I love the fact that you don't need all the space in the world, but that backhand right there is so sound and fundamentally good. It just jumped off the screen at me. What I like about him is watch when he catches the ball and he's going to throw the ball and finish the throw into a net, how he moves his feet towards his target and he throws it. And after he throws it, he doesn't fall backwards. He keeps going in the direction of the baseball. So I would sit here and say, you keep doing your thing right here. I love the fact that dad or big brother, or whatever you are, because you're wearing a hoodie on there, I can't see you. But if you have some sort of a rebound net, you can get a little creative with your space. You don't need to be on wide open fields. You're working hand-eye coordination. You're catching ground balls. You're moving your feet towards the target. You're throwing the ball, and you're following it towards the target. So everything that you would do on a big field, they're doing in probably a 20-foot square, if it's that. So I applaud everything about this, and I love this kid's backhand.
Hey, Bill, is there value on, say, obviously, if you're living in the Northeast or maybe in a cold climate, I mean, the weather is starting to get bad. Can you do these kind of drills with a tennis ball? Or, I mean, what kind of things can you recommend for players and parents, that their young player can do inside?
Well, look, like Case had with Brooke, she was her friend and she went out there on a tee by herself. And if you're in your house, and I don't want the parents getting mad at me, but I do think playing ball in the house is okay. And if it's a tennis ball or a little squishy ball, and you have a nice little wall that you can get on your knees in front of the wall and you can bounce the ball to yourself, if you're working on catching ground balls barehanded, think how much better you're going to be when you do get a glove on your hand when you get to go outside. Because here we are, as you said, in the Northeast. We're getting ready to get dumped on tomorrow with a little bit of snow. And it might be a while before we can go out there and find a field. So when it does get a little bit warmer and we do get outside, there's nothing wrong with tennis courts. And you can hit ground balls. They don't have to be baseballs. I used to believe, because I grew up in a family where baseballs were always kind of prevalent, that you had to have the real things to play. No, you don't. Tennis balls, anything that's squishy, the little dog balls at the grocery store that they can, tear apart. If you can work hand-eye coordination while you're in the house, you're going to be better for it when you get outside.
All right, Ron, let's go back to the mound, and we have some in-game action that we want you to break down. This is 10-year-old Zach.
Rip, in case I don't know what you guys are talking about, I got a 10:05 tea time tomorrow here in the warm weather. Hey, the thing I love about Zach is that he's out there on the mound, and it's a flat mound. Okay, no hump on it. He's already has a C on his jersey. That means he's a captain. Reminds me a little bit of myself in this sense, not how we throw, but he looks like a kid that probably plays center field or shortstop for your team, comes in and probably pitches the last inning because he's the most athletic, talented kid there, and probably gets everybody out. Okay, little tiny criticism here, a couple of things he can do. Now listen, it's a flat mound, very difficult to get any push-off, so let's eliminate that. Just look at his front glove. I mean, the glove on his left hand, sorry. Watch where it goes. He kind of rests it right on his quad or his knee. Yeah. That you could change. If you could take that glove and kind of bring it either right into your armpit or behind you, ripping it across your core or your stomach, that would give you a lot more energy. So instead of resting it on your knee, at least tuck it into your armpit or kind of rip it across your body. And then the second thing, when you watch his arm, we're just listening to Sean Casey talking about the bow and arrow effect. For a pitcher, it's the same thing as a hitter. What you're trying to get is that bow and arrow. And the best way to throw it hard is to pull that arrow as far back as you can. And you see Zach really just rest that on his back leg and then lets it fly. If he can somehow separate his glove and his arm so it's almost like a straight line from second base through Zach's body, through the plate, then we're talking about this young man, can tell he's athletic, is someday going to throw as hard as he can. And that's all we're trying to do. But an athletic move for sure.
All right. Once again, we are taking your questions. The videos we have already selected so that our guys have some predetermined thoughts and really take a look at them. But here's a question here from Abby, who writes on Facebook, my boys love these tips. My 9-year-old is asking, what are some good exercises to improve velocity in pitching? And Ron, velocity is big. It's everything people want to talk about at the big league level, and I'm sure that trickles down to every level below.
If I were starting over and I was telling, my dad was telling me, or I was telling my sons if they were 10 years old now, I would say try to get to a point where you are playing lots of long toss. Yes, you can play short toss and you can be on a mound or not on a mound, but the ability to strengthen your arm, I believe this now, not everyone believes this, you strengthen your arm by using it. It's a muscle that has to be used. But you can't always be on the mound throwing as hard as you can. So how do you work it? Just like you do a bench press to get a strong chest or some bicep curls to get your better biceps. The best way to throw and the best way to use your arm is to use it. And I think long toss really is something that I didn't use till the end of my career when my arm was shot anyway. I wish I had done it in the beginning of my career.
Hey, great question, Abby. We appreciate it. And once again, send those questions in the chat, no matter where you're watching the stream, and we'll pick the best ones. All right, let's get back to the videos, and let's go to Sean Casey. Sean, this is 8-year-old Anderson taking some cuts on the tee. We got a lefty here for you, Sean.
I love Anderson. I just love that Anderson's 8, and he's out there with his bucket, and he's out there with his net, and he's taking some rips, and he's got the big wheel in the background. So what he's going to do is going to take some rips and then ride the big wheel afterward, which is great. I love this swing right here. You know, I think there could be a little more movement, but I think the biggest thing is this: he's 8 years old, and I just love the fact that his hands are back. I love he has good hand action. That's sometimes tough to do because sometimes when you're this young, you're not that strong. So what do? You pull with your front shoulder, and that leads the way. Anderson does a great job of really keeping that front side in, using his hands really well, and really driving through the baseball. So there's not much I'd change right here. 8 years old, just keep showing up to that tee and keep showing up to that big wheel every day, and you're going to have a great life, brother.
I like that. I wish you'd send some video of him riding the big wheel. That'd be great. That'd be great too. Hey, Bill, let's get back to some fielding. This is David.
Let me check you out, David. And before I look at David too, Mike Young used to say his tee was his best friend because it never threw a ball and it was never late. So remember that. Now, what I like about this too is we got our boy Dave Valley in the building sometime soon, but his brother John, I believe this is one of his training gloves right here, Valley training model. But what I love about this kid is all his actions. And if I were to critique one thing on this, he's got this L screen set up in front of him and he's throwing down low.
Oh, okay.
Now, that's not really practicing what you're going to do when you're outside. So take this L screen, and even if you're in a small building, and put a target up on top of the L screen somewhere where it would look like you're throwing all the way to first base from maybe shortstop, catch your ground ball, and then throw. Because what he's doing here is, I'm not saying it's going to be problematic because I think that he knows what he's doing and they're just getting work in. But you can see how low his elbow gets because he wants to throw the ball down low. So I would take it and I'd put like a target up there, a paper plate or something. You can use zip ties, put it on the net, and have a scoring system after you catch the ground ball. There's nothing wrong, zero wrong with how he catches the ground ball. He moves his feet. He approaches the right way. He gets low. He catches with two hands. He brings it to the center of his body and he throws. So the only thing I would do in this short situation is move a target up a little bit higher on that L screen, or remove the L screen and throw it all the way back past your partner, high up on the net. But don't get into a habit of throwing everything low right there because we've become creatures of habits. And then maybe when you get outside, your arm wants to get low and you want to throw low and you go, man, that's far over there. So just raise your sights a little bit, but absolutely zero wrong with how he catches a ground ball, how he moves his feet, how he follows the throw. Because he even follows the throw when it's low. This kid's going to be perfect. Raise the target, throw it up there for me.
All right. Good job, David. All right, Ron, this is Christopher, and he's a bit unique. He's in the 5th grade. And he switch pitches.
This is the most amazing thing I've seen. Now, listen, I don't know about you guys. Is that a little intimidating for a 5th grader? Throwing from the right side and the left side. No. I was thinking when I saw from the left side, gives me a little CC Sabathia maybe coming off the mound. Good breaking ball already in the 5th grade. You see that foot crossing over generates a lot of power. It was interesting from the right side to me, someone contemporary, little Tyler Clippard, it looks like to me, gathers in the middle, straight over the top, throws that fastball and curveball. I love to see it. Listen, I think there are 2 things that are going to change. We know today Pat Venditti throws from both sides. My day, a guy named Greg Harris did it. I think there's 2 things that are going to change baseball. And it's not the knuckleball. Guys are going to throw harder and harder. But at some point, someday, there's going to be someone who throws from both sides, who throws gas and is good from both sides. And as we can see here from Christopher, his mechanics are the same from both sides. And those hitters, Ripken and Casey will tell you, if you're a switch hitter, you want to have the same mechanics from both sides. He does. And the other thing is I faced the pitcher in the Cape Cod League who threw underhanded. And he threw 88 miles an hour from underhand. And I've always said a switch pitcher and one guy who throws a drop or 88 miles an hour underhanded will be the next kind of wave in baseball where people are not going to be able to hit him just because they've never seen it.
Hey, well, maybe we'll see Christopher in the big leagues having one of those unique gloves where he can go back and forth between lefty and righty. Hey, Case, before we get to your video, I think we have a question. This one here from Jonathan, who asked, any advice for improving my bat speed? What do you think, Case?
Wow. You know what? I think, listen, I think bat speed is a variable of a lot of different things. And, for me, it's getting your core stronger. Anytime you're doing deadlifts, you're doing squats, things like that. I think anything to get your core stronger, I think that's a big thing. And the other thing would be grip strength. Grip strength is a big thing as far as bat speed goes. But I think a big thing with bat speed is learning to use your legs right. Learning to use your legs right. Learn to move your body the right way allows you to end up throwing the barrel. You want to create bat speed, use the big muscles that do the deadlift, that do the squat, put your body in that position, and let your hands just ride through. You'll find yourself creating big time bat speed, learning how to use your body correctly.
All right.
Hey, Case, let me follow up on that question with you, Case, because Ronnie talked about velocity and maybe a kid being long toss and using his arm. You talked about the core and the legs. Do you believe in the heavy bat, or do you think maybe a kid could use a lighter bat? How do you train that? Because you didn't say anything about the wrist or the hands or the swing. You talked about legs and your core.
Yeah, no, I do believe you can train those hands. What is the drill? You take the heavy bat and you do 10 swings. Then you take the regular bat and you do 10 swings. Then you take a lighter bat, like a fungo bat or any kind of bat you have. Take a broomstick, get a broomstick and get 10 swings. And then you start training yourself to really move that bat. And with the heavier, the regular bat and the lighter bat, you start training that bat speed. So that's another way you can train bat speed is by getting the heavier, regular, and the lighter bat.
All right. Good question. All right. So up next here, let's go with where we're back with. No, wait. That was Adrian. No, this is Adrian. There you go, Case. What do you think?
This is Adrian. You know what I love about Adrian? Well, first off, it looks like a little bit of the high T driller, unless he loves, like Aaron Boone used to love, crushing that high pitch. But I love his load right here. Look at the backside and how he gets through the ball. Great job, Adrian, of really getting there. Look at that setup right there. Look like a little Josh Donaldson. Now watch him come down on that front foot. So nice, and gets his backside through. So nice. This is a great swing. I love how he loads right there. He looks like a pitcher, doesn't he, Ronnie? On that back leg, how you would sit as a pitcher and then come through and really get your backside through. Adrian does a great job right here of sitting on that backside. And not just sitting there, he gets all his weight in the inner part of his thigh right there, and he's able to drive off it. What I'm saying is this, right? He almost looks like a pitcher. He gets loaded up with a little kick, loads the inner part of the thigh. That's exactly where you want to get your power, in here. Loads it up, and then he comes down. But watch how he gets off his backside. It's one thing to get to your front side. It's another thing to get through to the front sides with a backside rotation. Watch this. See right there? He gets that great power. So Adrian's going to have big-time power. The more you swing, brother, and the more that you have that swing going, man, good things are going to happen to you. I love this video that he sent in.
Casey, I'm not sure if we can go back, but it looked like he did something with his wrists. What would you call that move? You see that move right there before he kind of brings it back.
Oh yeah, right there. Yeah, he's just setting up. Watch. It's kind of what Jim Thome talks about, right? It's getting the knob of the bat to the catcher, right? Most good hitters, the very few can't do it. Ronald Acuna is one guy that doesn't really put the knob to the catcher, but Jimmy Thome always talks about getting that knob to the catcher, right? You turn your hands back, right? The barrel kind of comes at this angle. Adrian does a great job of that. What he's doing right there, he's loading up, and right before he goes, he's turning his hands back to the catcher. And what that allows you to do? It's a game of angles. It's swinging angles, right? This angle ends up creating this angle right here, right? Boom, this angle to that angle, and he does a great job of that. So that little move right there, Roflo, with his hands, is really setting up his angle to get some power and get through the baseball.
Well, yeah, he definitely has a great foundation for having a great swing. Hey, we're going to say goodbye to Sean Casey and Ron Darling. Guys, we appreciate the insight. I know the people watching definitely got a lot out of it. Happy holidays to you, and I'll see you guys soon.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, see you guys soon. Hey, tell the fans, thanks for sending our videos in. See you guys.
You got it. And remember, you can always submit your videos to our MLB Network Twitter handle or Instagram. Just use the hashtag Sandlot to the show, and we will hold on to them and keep them in our little pantry, if you will. And then when we're ready to do a Sandlot to the show segment, we'll have those videos ready to go. Bill is going to stick around. And Bill, let's continue this. You've got 11-year-old Nick who is looking for some tips on the lost art of base stealing. I love this here.
Yeah, I remember looking at this, and this kid just flat out can run. I know that because if I slowed this thing down, and I did, his jump was not the best jump in the world. And if we can slow it down, I don't know if we can get that fancy on this thing. When the pitcher picks up his foot, he should already probably have 2 or 3 steps in by the time the pitcher lands with his front foot. But it only looks like he's getting 1 out there. But I love the fact that the motion, the attitude that he has, because a lot of the base stealers that I played with, they all talked about attitude. You can't throw me out. I'm going to go. There's something about the way they carried themselves. So what I would like for him to do when he gets older, because unless it's an absolute straight steal, once you take 2 or 3 steps, you will be able to take a peek in towards home plate while you're running to second base. Because if the hitter swings and there's 2 strikes on the hitter and you're deciding to run, the hitter has to swing if it's a strike. And if he hits a line drive, then you're an automatic double up somewhere. But I love the fact that his crossover step is perfect. It's left over right. He pivots on that right foot when he goes. But I love the fact that he says, you know what, my head's down. I'm going to go ahead first slide into second base. Kenny Lofton, I played with him for the last half of 1995 with Cleveland. I think Kenny had a T-shirt that said 90 feet, 11 steps, head first dive, 3.1 seconds, stolen base. So he had it down to that science and understand what you have to do. So he knew if he got thrown out, and he went back to the video room and he got thrown out and he said, you know what? I took 12 steps there. Something was off in his plan. So he had it down to a science on what he was doing. But that crossover step, left over right to get going, is the most important step in baseball. It's what every infielder should do when the ball's hit left or right. It's what every outfielder should do when the ball's hit left or right. We don't shuffle our feet in baseball. If we're the cornerback covering a wide receiver, we have to shuffle because we don't know where he's going.
Right.
In baseball, we know where we're going. When the ball's hit as a defender, it's either left or right, and we go. As a base stealer, you know you're going that way, so you cross over. The left's going over the right pivots, and you head after it. So I love the fact here, I want him to look at that front foot on the pitcher a little bit closer because I think he can get a little bit better of a jump, and then he'll never get thrown out.
All right, let's bring in 2 more of our colleagues, Bill, Carlos Pena, and Dave Valley. Gentlemen, how are you?
Doing good. Rip, where were you? I could have had a few more stolen bases in my career if I'd listened to that.
Well, I tell you, I know where you are, but I also know where Carlos is because he's outside, not like where we are right now.
Carlos is living La Vida Loca down in Orlando.
Carlos looks like he's on the set of a Fat Joe video or something like that. It looks beautiful. It looks beautiful where you're at. Hey, Carlos, let's get started here with you. You have 10-year-old Felipe who's taking some cuts in the cage.
Yeah, let's check him out. One of the things that I want to say in general is for every hitter, as we get into this video, is that number one thing is timing, right? So as I see Felipe, I see that he's got some good hand-eye coordination. He's putting the barrel on the baseball. But what I would suggest is get a little bit more tension in there, get a little bit more timing in there, a little more motion in the setup. So as the pitcher is about to throw the ball, he needs to start loading, get going, nice timing, because he's getting the barrel on the baseball, but I want him to get a little bit more athletic. So as he steps up right here, I want him to get a little bit more movement and then load, because he's actually doing a pretty good job going 8 to 2, but it's what happens before that. It's going to get more accuracy, more consistency, and more power. But that's a pretty good stroke right there, Felipe. Left-handed swing.
Look at that. Hey, is it possible the bat may be too heavy for him, Carlos?
Yeah, and that's one of the things that when you only utilize your hands, when you don't utilize your body, you're ready, and you actually just kind of going at it this way without utilizing the momentum of the load, the bat will be heavy for you.
Okay.
But when you learn how to utilize your body, then all of a sudden you seem like the bat becomes a little bit lighter. When in reality, it's exactly the same bat. It's just that you're utilizing your body more efficiently. So I think it can improve quite a bit if he's able to utilize his entire athletic body to his advantage. Because right here, he's isolating the hand. So he could get so much better if he gets that big body movements involved.
Okay.
Doing that release after he hits the baseball.
All right.
Carlos, can I ask you a question? Just watching him from behind, it looks like his backside just never comes forward. It never goes into the ball like that. That back foot is kind of like screwed down into the floor. Don't you want to see that backside come through?
Absolutely, David. That does thing about what happens is this. If you're only utilizing your hands, I like to tell Felipe, hey, that's a good start because you're playing like Pepper. Remember that, Rip? Playing Pepper. That's what he's doing. He's not utilizing his body. As soon as he gets his body involved, you want to get ready, loaded, and then when you hit it, you want to keep going through the baseball, and that's going to release your backside. So what is exciting about Felipe is that he has a lot of room for improvement. He's already making solid contact. Now imagine when he gets his body into it with nice rhythm, releasing that backside, loading nice and early. Man, this kid's got a lot of room for improvement, so the sky's the limit for Felipe.
All right, Dave Valley, let's use your big league catching wisdom. All those years you spent wearing the tools of ignorance, and let's talk about Mia, who is throwing out a runner here.
Yeah, I love this. Anytime someone's willing to don the tools of intelligence, it just gets me excited. See what Mia does here. I want you to see how quickly she makes the transfer from the glove to the hand. But what I like the most is how all of her movement goes directly towards her target. She's not standing still. She's catching the ball and through towards second base. And that's one of the reasons why she gets off of such a strong and accurate throw right here. And I love seeing that anticipation as a catcher. You have a sense that that person, that girl, that guy on first base might be stealing. So you have to anticipate. So all of your body movements can go through the baseball right back towards the pitcher and ultimately towards second base. But she does a fantastic job right there.
Hey, Val, you gotta love the umpire, man. The umpire got all excited.
I love it. Give it to the umpire. Give it to me.
What's that? Oh,
damn! I love it.
Hey, clearly him making the call from behind the plate. It's a one-man crew. So shout out to the one-man umpiring crew.
He got it right, which is amazing.
There we go. There we go. Okay, so let's move on and let's talk about let's go back to Bill Ripken. Bill, this is Mauricio, and he is taking some hacks.
What do we got here?
All right.
Click.
Mauricio coming up?
Yeah, I say
Play.
There we go. Here we go.
That's what I'm talking about. This one's interesting to me because this is like having a tee, right? When kids are willing to go out there and hit off a tee by themselves, they're working on something. This right here is a contraption. The ball's spinning around. It kind of recoils. It gets tight. It comes spinning around again. What I'd like to see here is a video from behind, and it looks like this thing's coming around, so it's always going to be to his pull side. It looks like it's coming around that way, and it's coming inside to him where he's getting the bat head out. I don't know enough about this contraption to know if you can hit the ball directly up the middle, if it's still going to revolve around. So what I'd like to see is, could you move that thing away a little bit, or you move further back a little bit so the ball's coming middle away? Because I think that all of us hitters could pull the ball. We all like the ball in. But I think that you have to do more right on a ball that's middle away than you do on a ball that's in. And I'd like to see if this thing works, because there's nothing wrong with this swing. I love everything about it. He's got his little bit of load right there. He's going back. He's getting to the baseball. But I'd like to see if this ball is going to come a little bit more down the middle of the plate or middle away from him, if that thing will still work the same way, because I think he's going to have more benefit out of hitting a ball that's like outer third instead of inner third over and over and over again.
He's got a little bit of Nolan Arenado in him, doesn't he?
Keeping the head down?
Yeah,
that's a good call. That's a good call, Dave. Let's go to Carlos. Carlos, this is 9-year-old. Oh, wait, hold up, just a second. Dave, we do have a question before we get to Carlos's video. This question is from Crystal, who asked here on Facebook. Dave, what are some good tips to improve catcher's throw to second?
Well, Crystal, when I was a little boy growing up in New York City, and I didn't have anyone to play with, even though I grew up with 7 brothers and sisters, I would go up to the schoolyard where we had a strike zone, and I would start off 10 feet away, and I would just start throwing the ball into that square. And I'd go further back and further back until I was about 127 feet, which is from home plate to second base in the major leagues. It's a little shorter when you're playing in youth leagues. But just having that function of catching the ball, I'd catch like a ground ball, as if I was a shortstop, and then I'd come up and I'd make my catcher's throw into that box. And I got to a point where, once I came up, it's almost like you do it just mechanically in your mind, and your eyes are closed, because the harder you throw, the less you're actually watching the target, but you've worked on it so often, right? The concept of thousands of hours of practicing something, you become good at it. And for me, as I look back in my life, that kind of base that I built when I was younger, gave me the ability to have a very accurate arm once I got to the big leagues.
Okay. Thank you for the question. Remember, submit your questions no matter where you're watching. Just drop it in the chat and we'll get to the best ones. Okay, let's go back to the videos. This is for Carlos Pena, 9-year-old Carlos, 9-year-old Brixton. Carlos, what do you see?
All right, let's check out Brixton right here. I think he's got a pretty good setup. And again, one of the things I like is the fact that he's pretty balanced. He's weight, if anything, he's falling towards home plate, so I like that. What I would suggest is I want to get bigger, especially in practice, get bigger loads. You're going to talk about timing, loading up, and really timing the pitcher. When you do that, everything else seems to fall into the group. So instead of me giving specific pointers as far as technique is concerned, how about when that pitcher loads to throw, like raises his hand to throw, I would like to see Brixton get back there, like exaggerate the load. Get back there, moving a little bit. Even though in the game you may not be as exaggerated, at least in practice, make sure you have those bigger movements so that then everything starts falling into place, because when you are on time, you'll be like, man, that's a pretty good solid swing. So if we watch closely right here, Rolo, if you look at guys, he's really short with his load. It's just from here, and then he's right there, right away. Okay. What I would like him to do, if he sets up, go ahead and get that big extension. Even though you're exaggerating in practice, in the game, you're able to also load. And maybe even if you go a little bit less, it's okay. But practice big movement. Get your body into, get athletic. Do not become still and stiff and flat-footed when we field. Well, in hitting, we could also get stiff. Very good stroke. I want to see more movement, more rhythm.
Very good. Those are good. I love that. Exaggerate movements in practice. That way you can refine the smaller movements during the game. That's a very, very good way of thinking about it. All right, Dave, back to you. This is Christian working behind the plate. What do you see?
All right, so this one, we're going to see a couple of him receiving the baseball, which is what I like. You got a man on second base, so he's not down on a knee, which I don't really care for that when there's somebody on base. I like his setup. His feet are flat, so he's got some good balance. And right here, really well. Now, we're going to play this back. I think he was out, Christian, so don't worry about it. The umpire blew that call. But watch how his right foot replaces his left foot as he receives the baseball. Right foot to that left.
Oh, yeah.
He's out. Movement that you're going to have. That's all you need, because it's only 90 feet at that point, right? So you want to catch it, transfer it, and then
he's out.
Your feet to have that good, accurate throw right there. But I think he does a really nice job of getting behind the runner. Again, watch, right foot replaces the left. Okay, now he's blocking here. Okay, on this one, what I saw from Christian was, Okay, we'll jump back. Let's go back to that blocking one. Let's see if that's one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so now he blocks it. What I would like to see him do, he does a great job keeping it in front of him, but man, pounce to your feet. Because if you have a really good runner, I know Rip talked about Kenny Lofton. If Kenny Lofton saw me block a ball and stay on my knees, the next time the ball is going to be blocked, he's taking off because I can't throw from after blocking it, trying to reach, and then try to throw Kenny Lofton out. I want to block it, grab it, and get up so that he looks like he knows I'm ready for you. But keeping that ball in front to me was paramount. As for your pride as a catcher, you've got that gear on, you got that gladiator feel, and that's part of it. Keeping that ball in front of you and keeping that runner right where it was at, even though my pitcher buried one in the dirt. So good job on the blocking and good job on the throwing. Did you guys see that, the trading of the feet, the place?
Yeah, that was really good. I love that replacing.
Val talked about being a
Go ahead, Rip.
Val talked about being a gladiator, and I told him this all the time when I played against Val. No one wore the catching gear better than Dave Valley. He looked like
every time he came up to the plate. Every time he came up to the plate, he goes, man, you look good in that gear.
That blue and yellow gear that he had, no one, the little Scully helmet with the mask, no one wore the gear better than Val.
No, Val, what I was saying was that I also saw his bounce, man. It seems like he loves catching. Did you get that?
You know, to be good back there, you have to love it. You have to embrace the difficulty of the position. You have to embrace the pain of the position, because when you block balls, you know who's going to get it off the chest. You're going to get one off your throat. You're going to get one off your wrist, on the bones. You're going to get one off your inner thigh. You're going to get off your toes. But you have to kind of just, I love this pain of being back there, because if you don't, you're going to start asking the coach, hey, you mind if I play the outfield? So you just have to kind of just wrap your arms around it and embrace it.
All right, Bill, here's a 9U player that's working on his hands, sans glove. What do you think?
I love it. Once again, in the house, playing ball in the house is legal. No ifs, ands, and buts about it. And the idea of doing this over and over again, and it's just hand-eye coordination. If I had to say something, I'd say maybe, just maybe get your rear end down a little bit lower, almost like you're sitting in a chair. And the fact that he's throwing a ball to himself, once again, that's the thing I was talking about earlier today, Flo, is if you're there doing it. Now, this one right here with Dad, throwing the little short hop on the backhand side. Be careful on this, because you're letting the ball travel a little bit deeper than what I would like. So if we come back full to me, so I can show you something.
Okay.
And we're looking at the camera angle, right? So Dad was over there throwing short hops this way, and it looked like the ball was traveling to the middle. So the ball's coming this way and it's getting here. I just want to see this adjustment a little bit further out in front, where that way when the ball's coming, you see it. Because I can see my hand, right? But my head looking this way and the ball at the same time. The further the hand gets back here, now I can't see the hand if I'm looking at my hand and the ball. So if I have to look at one or the other to get this thing done. So be a little bit careful on that. The fact you're 9, the fact that you're catching a backhand on a bounce like that, what looks like a tennis ball in your bare hand, is very impressive. But I want to eliminate this pattern right here. You see how the hand's here and my forearm's leading. If I can reach out here and catch it a little bit further, and you can ask Carlos this, anytime a ball is thrown in the dirt to a first baseman, and Carlos was the left-hand throwing first baseman, he goes to pick it. He's picking it out in front. And I think that's very important. So the fact that he can do it and it's controlled, I'd urge Dad to get a little bit more short hoppy on that flip and have your boy working out to the baseball. I'm not saying go out there and beat on it, but I'm saying go out there and be a little bit more aggressive out in front and not so much retreat, because this will get us in trouble at some point in time. And it's actually easier to catch a bad hop out in front of you than it is retreating. So I love the fact that you're allowed to play ball in the house. Keep doing your thing. Keep working on it. Be a little bit careful with the hand getting too deep in here. Keep it out in front.
Hey, Rick, I told my kids growing up, I can replace sheetrock. You put a hole in the wall. I can just patch it up and let's go.
Those are tennis balls. Those are pretty good. By the way, pretty good drill, because the tennis balls are very bouncy. Your hand,
Correct.
very easy for it to just get away from your hand. But Rip, you hit the nail right on the head. First basemen, we try to smother the ball. We used to use that word, smother it out in front. And you don't want to slap it out of the way, but you want to kind of work your way towards it. And you get this movement going instead of this one. So great pointer right there.
So
Rip.
you're shortening the distance, right, guys?
Yeah.
The hop becomes shorter, which is easier
That's
to
it.
catch.
Yes, absolutely.
I would do that behind the plate, even
sometimes
catching.
when we retreat, we're taking this away because most kids in a game, like 9-year-old, 10-year-old kids, if you watch them play and a backhand hit to them, if they miss it, they get hit here. That's because it's in the way. If I'm playing catch with you, Carlos, and you throw me a ball right here, that's how I catch it. I don't go back here to catch it because I can see it. So it should be the same thing. Ball on the ground, a line drive hit to you, or a thrown ball. Still keep the glove out in front. But I love the fact that the kid was catching everything because, as Carlos said, a tennis ball bare hand, that ain't easy.
All right, we have a video question here from Carlos. I think we do. Yeah, video question. No, we don't. This is Carlos. This is Brennan. Obviously, swinging from the left side.
Look, man, I don't even know if I have anything to say about this right here. Number one, look at that leg kick, guys. Look how aggressive. Remember, we're talking about big movements. Look how big that leg kick is. She's not afraid of getting up there, And then if you see her hands, he starts with them already back here. They're back here. But ideally, what you want to do is maybe start a little bit closer to middle and then go back so you can have a little bit more rhythm. But I love the fact that he's so aggressive with the movement, and you can, if anything, you can learn how to shorten up. I'd rather he have to tell you, hey, not so aggressive. Let's slow it down a little bit. Let's shorten it up a little bit. That's where I want to tell kids that I'm fighting to make them more aggressive. But right here, this is absolutely perfect. I mean, talk about being a hunter when you hit. That's hunting.
Very good.
Reacted. Where is that ball? I'm going to destroy it. I'm going to go placata on you.
I like it. Hey, Dave Valley, this is 12-year-old Jack throwing out a runner.
To see Jack. Okay, I remember this now. The one thing, again, I love this. Old teammate of mine, he always used to try to take me fishing, but he never kept the fish. He was always catch and release. And that's what you want to do. You want to catch and release it as quick as possible. That was Jay Buhner, by the way. I like how he's very agile and athletic. You can tell here. But the one thing I would caution him on is he's getting his butt down a little bit too far behind him. Watch how his bottom drops down, and that kind of creates. You have to then follow up and bounce back up. I'd like to see his butt up a little bit higher and have him go through the baseball. Instead of baseball kind of bring all of his weight behind him on his heels, and then have to kind of come up and get through the ball right there. But clearly he's an athlete. Just you can tell just by the way he's moving and reacting to the baseball right there.
I like it.
Your haunches up, keep your feet flat on the ground, balance forward.
All right, Bill, Aiden, slow-mo video here of him taking some cuts. Let's see what. I
think he was in the garage right here, if I remember correctly, and he's a young man. Yeah, and one thing I'd like to look at is, hand-eye coordination is good because if you hit the ball, that's good and you have something to work with. The one thing I'd like for him to think about, because once again, Rofo, you talked about it earlier, maybe the bat's a little bit big. It almost looks as tall as he is. So the fact that you can barrel something up, it's pretty good. It looks like he's working a little bit of a split grip where his hands are apart. I'm okay with that top hand being up here. Go ahead and move your bottom hand up. And then maybe something Casey talked about, use a broomstick and a tennis ball and do the same drill for me. And instead of thinking long and strong, maybe think about being short and quick. And you can probably do that in your garage with the same equipment. Use me a broomstick and a tennis ball, do that same drill, and let me see what it looks like.
All right, very good. Let's go back to Carlos. Carlos Miguel taking some cuts.
Let's check out Miguel right here.
Okay.
You know, guys, one of the common themes we're gonna, like I said earlier, is I want to give you some intent. Why? Because I don't want to paralyze you with so much technique. Intent to me fixes a lot of things. So right here, one of the things that I noticed is the fact that he is very nice through the baseball, keeps both hands on the bat, and then you see how he kind of pushes through it and finishes long. But one of the things that I'm going to suggest to Miguel is, if you watch closely, he really kind of falls backwards a little bit. And I know that you want to, like, okay, you know, sit back, stay back, lean back, but you want to make sure that you transfer your weight forward. You want that energy. So I think you can get a little bit more of that instead of going backwards so quickly. I think that's going to add to his power. But this is a very solid swing, Miguel. You keep on working right here. I love the 2 hands through the zone. I really do. This is excellent.
All right, a little bit of a low cane finish there for Miguel. Dave, back to you. This is Bryce.
Let's see what we got.
Here we go. Doing some blocking drills behind the plate.
Oh, yeah. I love this. This guy is doing the work. Anytime you see catchers putting the time in here, look at where all of these baseballs are hitting him. Right in the center of his body. He's moving his feet and his body. Clearly, he's an athlete. If you're going to be a catcher, you've got to be a good athlete because you need that mobility back there. But Bryce is putting the work in. You know, if you want to be great at anything in life, you got to put the work in, right? You're never going to achieve something that you haven't prepared yourself to be able to get to. So he's clearly putting the work in. His pitchers are going to love him because he's going to get down and dirty. He's wearing that gear with pride. Phenomenal job right here. I tell you what, this technique right here, a lot of big league catchers could learn from him. Seriously. Getting that ball on his belly. So the way I would describe it to young catchers is it's like a grenade, and you're protecting your troops behind you. You want to get up over that ball so that ball just stays right down in front of you.
All right, before we let you guys go, Bill, let's bring it home. This is Kirk working on some infield drills.
Let's look at this. But Dave with his catchers, the tools of intelligence, not the tools of ignorance. All right, I'm glad we look like we cut this down to just one clip, because I got to say, hey, Pops, or whoever's video, and no, there it was. We got to keep him in frame, dude. That's first and foremost. We've got to keep him in frame and put that on a swivel somewhere. But what I did like about the one where he was in frame, which was the very first one, is as soon as he catches the ball, he moves his feet towards his target. And I know when the ball's out of the frame, he's going to continue to do that. The hardest thing for an infielder to do, and the best thing for an infielder to do, after you catch the ball, if you move directly towards the target, you cut down the throw. And I would rather throw a ball 75 feet instead of 80 feet. I'd rather throw a ball 110 feet than 115 feet. And the best way to do that is move your feet. So the thing I like about it, he was very deliberate on that first clip. Make sure you catch the ball first, because if I don't catch it, I can't throw it. But once you catch it, unload yourself towards the target. And I thought he did real well with that. But shot 2 and 3 of that clip, Dad, we got to have a little swivel work in here. If you know you're going to hit it up the middle, you got to swivel that thing a little bit.
Hey,
then I got to see what he does there.
Help us help you.
That's what I'm saying.
There you go. Hey, we're going to say goodbye to Bill Ripken, Dave Valley, and Carlos Pena. Guys, we appreciate it. Happy holidays, and I hope people and their young players are benefiting from all your wisdom. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for doing this.
All right. So that's going to do it for Bill, Dave, and Carlos, and we are standing by. We're going to bring in a handful of new analysts and some of my other colleagues here: Ryan Dempster, Mark DeRosa, Harold Reynolds. Guys, how you doing? H, how's it going, man?
Doing good. How you doing, Roflo?
Good. D-Ro, it's been so long, man.
Roflo, I am amazed at how clear your camera is. Is that just because you want people to see how soft your skin is?
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that. Well, as you know, I stream video games, so I upgraded my equipment, and the skincare regimen is always on point, and the new camera just highlights that.
All right,
there you go. How you doing, Ryan?
I'm doing good, man. It's great to see you guys. Enjoyed watching those boys give some tips to the young ones out there. Wake up my morning coffee every morning, watch HR, and Maddie, sit there and talk shop. So it's great to just be with you for a little bit.
Those guys were taken. We were about ready to call us timeout for hot stove.
I know. I know. That's why we were motoring through. Hey, but let's start with this question here. This is from Dale Mullen, who's asking on Facebook, what is the best way to build arm strength as a shortstop? Harold, Dero, you guys both played infield in the bigs. What would you recommend? Harold, you're first.
I think we're all going to say the same thing. Long toss.
Yeah.
Being able to throw the ball long distance and play catch is going to build it up. I just remember getting into a routine and you start, 20, 30 feet apart and you throw and you back up. You throw, you back up a couple steps and throw. And that was the best way for me. Each one of you guys was different, but I'll throw this in before I get to Dero. Another part of it is you're either going to have an arm or you're not, and you want to build it up. But I think by doing different sports, Dero was a quarterback. I threw a football a lot. Dempster did a ton of things. He was a pitcher. But go ahead, Dero.
No, Roflo, I'm looking at the comments of a lot of people as well, and they talk about hand-eye coordination and kind of building off what Harold said. I was big on, and still am to this day with my son, like playing the box game. And I'm sure Dempy played this as well, and I heard Valley talk about it, where, I set my glove up in different situations, and I want my son to try and hit that glove. Or I get a football or a baseball, and I used to lay on my carpet in my living room and just see how close I could get to the ceiling without hitting it, and just hand-eye, soft hands, accuracy, because it's not just having a strong arm, it's being accurate with your throws as well.
All right. Hey, Dempy, you're on deck, but Dero, you're first. This is 17-year-old Brandon, and it looks like he's got some power.
Hey, Brandon, I locked in on this. Your swing, there ain't much for me to add. I would say take it next level, big boy. I mean, this is real. You have good back path, good balance, the lower half. I mean, loading that back hip, strong. So when I wrote down some notes, look at me, HR. I wrote down some notes. Some things right here. Take it next level. Get on that one arm drill. I would understand. Sammy Sosa taught me. I watched him do, and Dempy, you'll love this. I watched him in Turner Field one day go through his progression, and he did a lot of one-arm drill, and he tried to tell me that the left hand's your steering wheel for a right-handed hitter, and then your right hand's the power. So I would do a lot of one-arm drills. The only thing I would say to you, Brandon, he starts his hands low. Dempy, talk to him. If you were pitching him, where are you going?
Well, yeah, then I'm going to try and climb that ladder, right? Because
those
hands are going to drop down. They start. It's almost like a toned down version of Eric Davis when you watch that. Just the hands going, hands starting low. They start high right there, where he keeps him in a better position right there, and he's able to get that. Keep those hands up there so that you're not moving them so much up and down. But yeah, this kid's got. You can see it right there. He's got some legit pop.
It's clean.
I would say keep it natural too. Be comfortable, because he actually has a little bit of this. But the one thing I would say to parents out there that continue to video, full speed swings, please, so I can see the bat speed. I know it looks pretty with the slow-mo when you're coming through. But if I'm a scout or I'm a college coach or I'm an advanced elite, I want to see if you got any bat speed. I want to see how you get through the zone. So, yeah, the slow-mos are great, but you also have to have some full-speed swings. I got to see what you got. You agree with that?
No, I totally agree with it. Kind of just jumping off Brandon, if I stand up real quick, if he doesn't understand one-arm drill, just choke up a little bit. And I used to be off the tee this way, understanding bat path. I watched Sammy Sosa, boom, and then the top hand here, and it's more of a punch, bang, and then you put it together because – Roflo, that swing's real. You don't want to mess with that too much. I mean, little
tweaks. Hey, Dempy, we got Josh here for you. He's on the bump, doing some pitching. What do you think?
Yeah, I like initially you see him get in a good position. He gets good leg lift. He gets good balance over the rubber. What I would like to see out of it when he does it is, if you see with his front arm as he's leading, he tucks that arm underneath here like this. You see this glove's going to go like that, right?
Yeah.
if you could just work on using this as like a fulcrum, right? So when you're throwing and this is how you're going. As you're going towards home plate, it's like, boom, that you pull that in, that's going to drive everything else. That's going to drive your hips through, continue to go through, and it's going to bring your arm through as you go like this. When we get lazy and we start tucking it, instantly when I do that, if I have my arm here, instantly as I start tucking, it just changes me into side to side instead of over the top. And so you want to get that kind of fulcrum going this way, not so much this way. Larry Rothschild used to always talk about that, pitching coach for the San Diego Padres, was mine with the Cubs, D-Row and I. He would always talk about that, getting up and over that versus side to side. And believe it or not, it's as simple as just your lead arm. You know, when you throw with that lead arm and you're able to pull in with your glove instead of letting it get lazy, and then it kind of gets you out of balance because he's got great balance when he stands over the rubber. He gets a good leg kick. You know, that's what you want. Get that hand. Just practice. All you need to do is just get it up here and practice pulling it down. You see the best pitchers in the game, 99% of them are going to be leading with that elbow that way and using it as a fulcrum to pull in and create a massive amount of leverage.
Was there a drill or anything you did, Dempster, to work with that, Dempy, at all?
Yeah, just, you know, like honestly, the old rocking drill where you can just kind of rock back and then rock forward. And really what you work on is as you're coming through like this, HR, you know, and you're going, as you come, you're really seeing the benefits of this arm taking this arm through the zone. You have so many parts in the front of your body that, you know, as you load up, now you take it. The minute you drop it, you're losing power, you're losing velocity, you're losing the ability to really pull. You know, I don't take like, you know, I'm trying to move something, you know, like with a lever, I don't put it all the way down on the bottom and then move it. That thing's not going to go very far. But if I start up here with it and I jump on that lever and I sit there, I can tilt anything over. You know, that's how you jack up a car. You don't take the jack and put it 6 inches off the ground and push down.
Yeah.
You get that sucker. You see, watch those NASCAR guys.
Away. That's what you do.
Yeah, they're just like boom, one pump.
There you go.
You know? So get it up there, Josh. Get it up here like this. Let's see it.
All right. Hey, Harold, this is Jace. What do you see?
Yeah, this is the natural swing. Again, you know, don't try to do too much with this swing. He's only 4 years old. And just to be swinging like that at 4, the hand-eye coordination is exceptional. I mean, obviously, as you get older, you're going to get a bat that's going to fit you a little bit better. But for him slaying that thing through the zone, that's a pretty swing right there. Just really impressive. So I would say just continue to track the ball, hit it. You're going to grow into your swing. If there's one tweak, I'd say choke up a little bit. But I really love what I saw in this video. For 4 years old, that's impressive.
There you go, Jace. All right, D-Row, you know we love our softball players, and we're always trying to make them better as well. This is Haley, high school softball player, hitting from the right side. Let's take a look there. Oh, wait, hold on just a second. This is from Larry. Do you guys think kids should play more than one sport? This is a great question.
Wait, should we all do the answer in unison on 3? You guys ready? 1, 2, 3. Yes.
Love it.
No doubt. You know, here's why. I mean, we all play different sports. There's such a benefit to every sport that you play. Number one, you're going to learn about competitiveness. But 2, you're going to work different body parts. I really believe one of the reasons there's so many injuries, and particularly Tommy John, is they're continuing to use that same motion over and over and over. But I think the third thing, and I'll go to D-Row and then he can go to you, Dempster, but playing all the different sports, I played football, basketball, and baseball in high school. And from football, I learned how to catch a pass. I learned how to throw. I learned how to read routes. I learned how to study film. You know, and in basketball, quickness, hand-eye coordination, drills, passing, recognizing patterns, all those things. And that all played out on a baseball field for me. So no doubt about it. I'm curious, your D-Row was a quarterback in college at Penn.
I know.
Yeah, HR for me, I just think if you play one sport, you're going to be burnt out by the time you're 14, 15 years old. Those, you know, when you start hitting puberty and start checking out like other things in life, you might not want to get in the cage and be hitting off the tee and consistently failing. I think for me, playing the other sports allowed me to fall back in love with every sport during that season. I mean, I was outside shooting hoops in the snow in New Jersey. And I say something in the big leagues that really helped me get there and stay there, because I wasn't a can't miss guy, is the football mentality, the two-a-days, the practicing when everyone else was at the beach, the getting in the huddle, the getting the instant headache when you got hit in practice. I knew other guys did not go through that, and I knew when chips were on the line, I could be mentally tougher and grind through certain situations. And yeah, I think it certainly helped me. Dempy, I got to believe ice hockey, all those things you were doing up in Canada, dude.
Yeah, well, and just piggybacking off of what you said, I was a really big soccer player. I played competitive soccer, and people don't realize how rough that sport is. You go up for a head ball off a corner kick, and you're taking elbows to the chest, knees to the thighs, elbows to the face. So going through all those moments, playing football, playing hockey, doing these things, the little injuries, the little bumps and bruises. I'm not saying pitch hurt ever. But it's okay to not feel 100%. It's okay to just grind through that a little bit when you have to. And I think playing all those other sports definitely just helped me with that ability to do that. Like, somebody's like, how many times do you feel 100%? I'm like, man, I don't know, like since high school, maybe, like back then, like you just go through moments. And I think I couldn't agree with you more. They helped you mentally be just a little bit tougher than some other people who all they did was focus on that one sport all the time. And then the first time they had a little bump or bruise, but I can't play today. I don't feel great. Okay, cool. Sit on the bench and Wally pip it up. Go for it.
Dempy, I remember, and Harold, I'll say this to you, and I wonder what your answer is. I remember when I went from the Little League field, and then I had to play on the big field. And I'm like, ooh, do I still love this game? Like, the throw got a lot longer. I felt like I was running forever to get to first. The game didn't come as easy, and you're like 13, 14, and football's nice. I'm hitting threes. There's other things to do. So I found ways to keep baseball, like, for me to fall in love with it every time it came back in season.
And it was a lot easier for us, but now I'm a parent living in this world that we're in of travel ball and everything else. You have to put your foot down for your kids. You parents that are all listening, because it's easy to fall into the, hey, if he doesn't play all year round, he can't play on my team. Then, oh, well, he'll find somewhere else to play. And we get so caught up in thinking, I got to play on this team's the best in the area, and they're going to travel all over the place. Then play rec. Right now, my little guy just took up lacrosse, loves it, plays travel soccer, plays baseball in the baseball season, flag football right now. If there's a ball, basketball season when it's basketball, if there's a ball, he wants to play. And I'm encouraging that. And I'll tell his coaches immediately, he's going to play other sports. And I have to fight with a couple guys like, you won't see him in baseball till the spring. Don't worry about it. He'll be ready. He's going to hit in the garage, but he'll be ready. Yeah. He's going to play the other sports. So just to the parents out there, don't fall for if they don't play here, they're never going to get to play around. They're 9, 10, 11, 12 years old. You can't make a decision that early.
There you go.
Had I made a decision on one sport, I'd have thought I was playing basketball, and I'd probably be no telling what I'd be doing today, because I wouldn't have made it.
D-Ro, let's get back to Haley, the high school softball player. Have you take a look at what she's doing from the right side.
Okay, Haley, I'm going to say this to you. I want you to watch your back foot. And I don't want to be too old school where they say squash the bug with your back foot, but you almost come up on your toe. You almost can't be super powerful right there. You never load up your back hip to deliver a blow. And what I mean by that is, I don't know if you got a brother or sister or any siblings, but if I'm going to punch my brother, I'm not going to punch him from a static position and then just go like this. I'm not going to get here and go. I'm going to load up, bang, I'm here, boom. So I just feel like, and maybe softball's a little different because the ball's on top of you so quick that you see a lot of people want to be a little shorter to the baseball. But there's so much more power and pop that Haley has in her backside if she's willing to load up on that backside, inside of that back knee, and kind of drive off the inside of that back knee than kind of just coming up on the softball.
Okay.
What do you think, Harold?
What do you think, Harold?
I like it. It's a softball's hard to hit, man. I don't know how they do it. I tip my cap. You throw me a changeup, I'm done. So. But what Mark's talking about is in any time you're hitting a ball, softball or baseball, whatever, this allows you to read the pitch. Going back, I look at it as more of a read step. Now I'm able to go back. It's hard to read fastball, changeup, whatever it might be if I just dive. So if you're going back, now you get a chance to read that pitch and then come forward.
Hey, Dempy, this is a video of you, for you, 12-year-old pitcher who is trying to add some velocity. What do you see? What do you recommend?
Well, first I recommend that they go take a couple wood horses from the local elementary school and block off the street so he doesn't have to throw out of his garage. But I admire the fact that he's doing it. All right, cars can wait. You're throwing your bullpen. They can wait. I really liked this delivery a lot. You see his hands separate. See the way they separate, and he gets up on top. He could do the same thing with that front arm. But one thing I really focused when I watched him was the fact that he's almost, they call it opening the gate. So he gets the leg up really good, and then he kind of swings it. Instead of driving down, you want to gain velocity. First and foremost, do the long toss that we talked about. That's number one. But then you really want to focus on that back leg. It's almost like he just falls forward and swings that front leg, and they call it swinging the gate open. Use that and get down on that front leg. Really, really drive off that back leg instead of just falling forward. But great separation. The ability to have his hands come up the way they're coming up right now. And as he's going down, they break very well. He gets out and keep that front glove. It's a common thing with young kids too, especially because it's heavy. We got a glove on our hand. It's hard to hold that thing up there when you're not mature yet. You're not strong enough. So figure out ways, and that just comes through practice, keeping that, but he gets great separation. I really like these mechanics right here, kind of a young John Tudor in the making right there.
There you go.
Two things I saw with that. Dippy was kind of joking about it going outside, but it looked like to me, because the carpet is so short, he's cutting his stride because you don't want to step beyond it, and you're afraid you might hit yourself on the garage. The other thing I saw was some feet about like size 14s. He's going to be a tall kid.
Tall dude.
So he needs to get outside a little bit more and be able to stretch out. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Real quick. One thing I've learned during this Sandlot to the Show stuff, and Al Leiter, I feel like, is one of the best in the business with the pitching. Yep. What's the one thing he says, Roflo? You want to be here. How do I get in? Here at foot contact, right?
That's right.
And he's in the perfect position, so he's not good. Doesn't seem like he would be predisposed to get injured. So it's there. He's got really good, smooth mechanics. It's there.
Yeah.
This question here from Andrew on Facebook. My son is 13, wants to throw more breaking balls. I feel he's too young. What do you guys recommend? I'm sure it's a question you get a lot, especially you, Dempy.
Yeah, here's my thoughts on this is that at 13, 14, I get it. I totally get it. I was throwing breaking balls at that age. Not a lot of them, right? Trust your fastball. Not many guys out there, your Barry Zitos, your Rich Hills, where it's like, we got to draft this guy because he's got a great breaking ball. Most teams are going to draft guys because he's got a good fastball. And then a secondary pitch is great, and we can always develop that. But don't be so in a rush to throw your breaking ball. Like, throw your fastball and find out if that's good enough to get guys out. So then what happens is you realize you can get out 6 or 7 of the hitters of the 9 hitters with just your fastball or a fastball changeup combo. Then now, sure, throw your breaking balls. Throw them to the really good hitters or one to a guy who's hot, that game or something like that. But you find out that I can get guys out with my fastball. I don't need to throw a lot of them. And that was kind of what I did as a young guy was I led heavy on my fastball. And, and then if I got in trouble or I got in a situation where a hitter was seeing it, I went to it. But, 13's kind of for me, like, I feel like that's kind of the starting point. I feel it's also depends on each kid. Are they a strong 13-year-old who can handle a little bit more? But don't, as the coach, as the 13-year-old, put your winning that tournament over that kid's arm. ultimately, hey man, you're throwing too many breaking balls. Let's get the heater going because that's your moneymaker. David Ross always said, and he said this to us in a pitching meeting in Boston. He said, "Listen, guys, our whole pitching staff was getting away from throwing fastballs, and he said, you have to throw a fastball in a fastball count when everybody in the ballpark knows you're going to throw a fastball. And if you execute it and you get the guy out, it's going to do nothing but give you confidence. And just execute. And that's all that matters. A good executed fastball, that's better than any breaking ball you ever throw."
That's great advice. Great advice. Harold, back to you. This is Tasso, who is swinging from the left side.
Yeah, Tasso swinging it. I would just say here, get a bat that you can handle because the bat kind of swings you. He gets there to point of contact, and then whoop, it swings him through. Okay. But I think this little guy's going to be able to shoot the ball. A little more balance if you want to start and get real technical. But once again, we're talking about somebody, about 6 years old or so?
Probably.
Just the hand-eye coordination. I was so impressed watching the videos that came in, how young everybody is and how much contact they're able to make. And driving the ball. He's driving the ball here. But I would just say get where you can handle a bat. Choke up. Barry Bonds hit 700,000 homers, and he never held a bat at the knob his whole life because he used his dad's bats when he was a kid. He always choked up. I even watched Mike Trout. He chokes up on the bat. So let's get past the macho thing. Look at what makes you great. And the key is getting that bat head to the zone under control. And if you can start choking up, it's going to help you out. D-Roll, your thoughts?
No, that's a nice hack, man. That's the thing, Harold. If you can hit, you can hit. You want to give one little nugget here and there. I mean, let's not get too technical with a 6-7-year-old yet.
Right.
Dimpy, what'd you think, man?
I thought he had great weight transfer. He'd load up and then hit that front leg and then just finish in a great spot. I was impressive right there. For somebody who couldn't squash the bug, I kept my right foot glued in the cement right there in the batter's box. That was good stuff.
Hey, Merv Retman used to tell me when he was my hitting coach.
Yeah.
He said everybody would hit 400 if they never had a hitting coach because you would just do what you did naturally.
That's
then
right.
we start getting taught what to do. Did he tell you that too,
Harold, I had Merv Redmond too, and I was in a 2 for 30 slump one time, and I went to him. I said, "What's wrong?" And he goes, "Maybe you're on fire and you don't even realize it."
Yes.
Hey, Frank Howard one time said to me when I was scuffling, I said, "Hondo, what am I doing?" He said, "Pick out a piece of cheese and let it fly, kid."
Yeah.
I said, "Well, I'm doing that." He said, "Nothing a couple 2 for 4s won't cure." That's it. Maybe you're hot and you don't even know it.
That ought to be on a T-shirt. That absolutely should be on a T-shirt. Hey, D-Ro, this is 14-year-old Michael. He is looking for some tips on balance at the plate and looking for tips on how to hit off-speed stuff.
All right, Michael. I've watched this video a bunch because there's a lot of things I like about it, but you talk about Harold creating bat speed. He's not concerned with bat speed. He's so concerned about his fundamentals and technique that he's getting away from his bat speed and actually attacking the baseball. One thing I'd say to him is, see how his base, your base, Michael, you're not so wide, but you're wide enough that you're not aggressive to the baseball. I would say take a chance, shorten up a little bit, maybe mix in a leg kick, maybe mix in a toe tap, play with some stuff to create that point of contact punch. And one other thing, Jason Hayward's made a heck of a lot of money playing in the big leagues, but if I was ever a teammate of his, I watch him choke the bat with his top hand. And what I mean by that is when you're here, man, do you rob your athleticism at the point of contact?
Joe Adele with the Angels does that.
Joe Adele, yeah, I would say just relax that top hand and let those hands play a little bit. But stop concerning yourself with so much fundamentals because I feel like there's way more in the tank for you.
Good job.
The 2 things I would say to him real quick. One, spread out, like you're spread out right there, and swing do some flips without moving, and just try to get some balance that way. That's what I would say, and then all the other things D-Row talked about. And the last thing I'd say, Have you played any other sports? You know, are you going to guard somebody like this? Are you going to tackle somebody like this? No, get in a nice athletic position, and that's going to help you be balanced. And that would be the first thing I'd say to him.
Good job. Dempy, back to you. This is Kennedy. Let's take a look here.
Ooh.
Right, good load. I would say work on that. There's a drill that I put out on Twitter a while back about balancing and getting your knee up. But I mean, this is some arm strength right here.
Yeah,
you know, she's kind of got a little Justin Verlander in
yes.
the,
Good call.
with the straight arm there up over the top. She's got good, you know, you can tell the ball's got good rotation out of it. Work on getting that and just trying as much as you can to stay in that lane. It's the hardest thing for every pitcher to do. We all do it. I just mentioned Justin Verlander. He does it. We all want to kind of sometimes fall off, you know, towards first base because we're sending a lot of that energy. And the more we can train ourselves to continue to go forward and just like get over that front side, land on that leg instead of so stiff at first. As you land on it, then you stiffen it up. You don't want to land on a stiff front leg. You want to land on a kind of a bent front leg, and then you stiffen up as that ball goes. That's where you're able to create that velocity. But, you know, I don't know. That's a really impressive, you know, kind of delivery right there. Nice and compact, and just focus on going forward. Watch the front glove. See that? She's got it. She's doing what the other ones aren't doing. So that's really good. She gets it extended and then pulls it in.
You can see it.
Yeah, you can see that. Absolutely. How do you keep her from falling off, though? Like if I was a hitter and I was falling off, they'd put a couple bats down and say, stay straight between these two, and that'll keep you balanced. What would you ever do that? Like with pitching, put some tape down or anything like that?
Take some spray paint and throw some spray paint down on each side. You know, just I was really big on it's tough because look at the size of the mound she's throwing off. So naturally that's going to be very hard to do. She'd almost be better off throwing flat ground right now and just stay off the mound altogether just to work on that direction. So then when you do get on the mound, but I would take my first warm-up throw and then I would find where I landed in the dirt and then just kind of draw a line from that foot spot all the way back up to the rubber. So then that's your guiding point and that's where you practice on landing and getting forward. But, you know, if I had any advice for Kennedy, I'd say get rid of that mound. You don't need that right now. It's December. You know, just work off the flat ground and really work on staying tunneled up because that's good, solid over the top right there. Good balance. You can see that all the way through it. And that good balance over the rubber should allow her to be able to really kind of hone in the balance going all the way to home plate. So good stuff right there.
Yeah, all right. Well, Kennedy, good stuff. This here from Hawk, who's been commenting on YouTube. What would you guys advise when it comes to smoothly fielding backhands? Harold?
Do you guys want me to take this one or you guys got it?
Go ahead, man. I tell you what, Bill Ripken did an amazing job. I was watching him last segment about catching the ball out in front when one kid was backhand and catching everything out here. One thing I was always taught, you can find a wall, throw the ball off the wall, and you know, you're always taught when you're catching a ground ball, look it in, right? In a natural way. Do the same thing with the backhand. You look the ball into your glove. Look the ball into your glove. And I want to catch it in the web of my glove, not in the palm. Because this is, once you go backhand, your hand hardens up. So you want to catch everything in the web. But I want to be here. You see how I'm looking that ball in? I'm able to see it from point in front of me. If it gets back here, you're in trouble. But out here's where you get it. And that's what's going to soften your hands. It's more, to me, the presentation than necessarily all these other things. And we did all kinds of stuff. We played catch with eggs. You know, we did all kinds of things to try to soften your hands. So if you have hard hands, try to play that egg toss and see if you're going to break that egg or not. Believe it or not, that stuff really works. What are some of the things you did, Rob?
Hey, I used to wait. It is no lie. I used to wait every night. My dad used to pull in from work. And before dinner, it used to be right hand behind the back, 25, tennis ball, one hand, left hand behind the back, 25. And if I dropped one, it went back to 0. And people would be like, oh, I loved it. I ate it up. I'd be at 24 and be like, oh, you know, like I wanted to keep going.
I do the same thing.
Like I said earlier, I was constantly working on hands. Playing catch, throwing balls off the wall, the Super Bowl. We used to have that blue Super Bowl where we used to play the game. used to play a bunch of games on the brick wall, the back of the high school or back of our grammar school, but anything to soften up your hands.
The key to soft hands.
I heard the first basemen talk about smothering the ball. As a shortstop, I never wanted to. I didn't feel like I wanted to like come through everything. I wanted to play with it.
Play with it.
Yeah. So I think for everybody it's different.
Okay.
I think the big key that everybody overlooks about defense, you got to use your legs. When you put yourself in the right position, your legs are going to make your hands soft. So I was always told, play defense with your legs. And if you get yourself in the right position with your legs and you're able to get down, your hands are going to soften up. If you have heavy legs, slow feet, you're going to have bad hands. That's just going to happen. So don't forget to pay attention to putting your body in the right position and you play defense with your legs.
Harold, let's take a look at CJ, who's got the bat in his hand, hitting it into the net. What do you see?
Well, first thing, I was digging the fro. Go ahead, CJ, with the fro here. I've got 3 left-handed hitters I've seen so far that are really getting it done, getting it through. I like how the position he's in, and you can stay on balance a little bit more. I feel like once you're getting contact, when you get to the contact point, then you pull off, and that's where you end up having that little flip through the zone. If you can think about almost like it was 2 tees, one in front of the other, you're going to hit that ball like this, boom, boom, and it's staying all the way through it, boom, boom, like that. That's going to allow you to stay through. Right now, you're going here, you'd hit the first tee, but you'd lose the second one. All right, so you want to stay through the ball like you're hitting 2 tees. Okay. And I think that'll help you get more balance as well because you just fall off at the end. But think about staying through it will help you.
All right. D-Row, we got another softball player here for you. This is Sakura. She's taking some soft toss here. Take a look at what you see.
She rakes. I watched this a couple times. Once it pops up, she actually hits a guy riding a bike. If we get the video up, if you lock it, not this swing. You see this guy in the background on the bike? He's about to get. She actually hits him right there. His back tire. Again, I want to give you one nugget. I'm not going to sit here and just critique everything because if I'm being real, that is a clean hack. I mean, that path through the zone is clean. The only thing I maybe have you think about, Sakura, is you start down. You start in a crouch. If you're going to start down eye level wise, then just stay down. Yeah, maybe there might be just a smidge coming up. Go YouTube Ricky Henderson. Go YouTube Harold Reynolds. If they started down, you want to keep your eyes on one plane. Rick Dog and Harold, they were down here. They stayed down there. There was no like coming up as they swung, right, Harold?
No, you're absolutely right. I would say even her really, if they were to stop it right when she does her little hitch and gets up here, that's where she should start. Start up here a little bit more.
Either start up a little bit more where you at point of contact or try and stay down. But either way.
Right. But we're being nitpicky. You got a nice swing.
Yes,
you got some serious power.
I loved her apology after hitting the guy. Just a casual, my bad. I'm hitting rockets over here. Yeah.
I believe we have a question here coming up next. We'll get into the videos. A few more videos to go. This question here from Green on Facebook. All these YouTube videos have got me overcoaching my son. At what age should I start fine-tuning without letting bad habits start? Now, D-Row, I know that you are very heavily involved with your son's travel team, and Harold, you have mentioned you've got your little guy playing here, and Dempy, you weigh in as well. What's the answer? What advice do you give?
Harold, you go first.
Well, first of all, I think you got to let kids play and just see what they can do. I keep it as simple as possible. See it and hit it. Like I said, he's 9 heading into 10. And eventually, if there's things to correct, I correct it. But there's not much because it's just natural. You let them naturally do their thing. As you get older, all I can do is look back at myself. I want to learn how to attack a strike zone. What are they trying to do to me? All those mental things that come along. But the number one thing You see the ball and hit the ball and figure out how to your swing. What is your swing? How do you get through the zone? Because we're all different. So I think that's the big key. And again, it comes down to individual. Some people can be way overcoached, and some need a lot of coaching. It depends on what that youngster can process and how hungry they are. Because the last thing you want to do is have them turned off when they're 12 or 13. Like, I'm done. I'm tired of hearing this. And so it's a point by point individual thing. But with my little guy, I don't say a whole lot. I let him go to a camp last summer, and they tried to mess him all up. I was like, that's it. Timeout. Not again. Too much info. He's not that big of trying to process my hands here, get back all this. He couldn't hit the ball. So he's going to naturally hit, and eventually he'll figure out all those things because he's cerebral like that. You got to let him just flow at first, I think.
I think you don't get nitpicky until they don't have success. My son's 11 years old. There's a couple kids on his team that technically do a lot of things fundamentally wrong. But I'll be damned if they don't barrel some stuff on a Saturday afternoon. So I'm not going to say anything to them yet. Until they start seeing failure, and they're not going to be willing to change. Two things I work at with my son. One is understanding bat path. The one-arm drills, understanding this is the left arm for right-handed hitters, your steering wheel, and then this is your power, and we're trying to stay gap to gap. And two, and Tempe could attest to this, at 11, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, there ain't too many kids that are going to throw to quadrants.
No.
I get so chapped when the best hitter on our team goes up and swings at something over his head or in the dirt and taps one back to the pitcher. I tell my son, you hunt middle until you get 2 strikes, and you take everything else. Everything. I want you hunting middle, and if you see it there, I want you trying to kill it. And those are the only 2 things, bat path and understanding that an 11-year-old kid is just trying to throw a strike. If you run into a guy like Dempy at 12 that can dot down and away, we're going to DQ.
That's right. Good luck.
See you later. All right? But that ain't happening.
100% right, man.
Yeah. Well, and I like what HR was talking about too. Just let the kids be themselves. So you look around, right? Ken Griffey Jr. grew up in a locker room full of big leaguers. He had all these guys teach him different things. His dad played in the show. He didn't swing like his dad. He didn't swing like any of those guys. He's got his own identifying swing. You tell me all of those guys with all those experts, that none of them were like, you got to swing this way. No, they just let him be him. Right. Just like D-Rose said, until you have failure, you're not going to want to change because you're like, why am I going to fix something that's hitting bombs over the fence or I'm striking everybody out? But B, maybe that's who that person's supposed to be. Like I had mechanics, they were different from Roger Clemens. They were different from, Greg Maddox's or John Smoltz's or Pedro Martinez. We all have who we are, and those started as a kid. And then as you get older and you get bigger and stronger, you start to hone those in. So just don't worry about undercoaching at that age is way better than overcoaching them.
I got 2 quick stories for you, Roflo. One, I played with Griffey. And our rule, hitting coach, everybody, was don't tell him anything. Nobody talked to him. His dad, he'd call his dad sometimes, I did this or that. And his dad would talk to him. His dad talked to him from Cincinnati, or he eventually played with us. Nobody ever talked to him about hitting. That was it. That was forbidden. And one of my favorite stories is Barry Larkin playing with the Cincinnati Reds, and his son, Sean, who ended up playing the NBA and all that. He's playing Little League. Barry leaves on a 10-game road trip, comes back, and his son quit baseball. What are you talking about? You're the best player on the team. I quit. He said, why? Oh, every time I go, my hitting coach tells me I'm not learning how to hit right. And he goes, did you tell him who's teaching you how to hit? He said, yeah, I told him my Uncle Petey's teaching me how to hit. He said, your Uncle Petey doesn't know anything. He didn't realize Pete Rose was his Uncle Petey that he was talking about. Larkin's kid quit baseball because some guy was telling him, your uncle doesn't know anything about hitting. 4,256 hits.
That's unbelievable.
Can't cookie cut it. Bottom line is, Roflo, you can't cookie cut it. I did things different than Harold. I watched so many guys approach it differently. Everybody wants to be like Griffey or Chipper Jones, but there's the Dustin Pedroias of the world. There's Chase Utley, who looked like he cut his swing off and still hit jack. I mean, there's so many different ways to get to the point of contact and be successul.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go back to pitching. Wait, let's see. We got this one here from I'm just glad. I just want to give him the best. There you go, Green. Just do what's best for him and let him play, let him have fun, especially at that age. Dempy, this is Braylon on the hill. What do you see?
Yeah, well, okay. So remember that lead glove we're talking about? He gets it out there, he pulls it in really good, right?
Yeah.
Understanding that your leg lift, Nolan Ryan would always talk about, if I can, every inch I could raise my knee in my windup, in my delivery, was another mile an hour on my fastball. So if you're not creating anything, from a pitcher standpoint to give you some sort of leverage to be able to get home plate, you're just going to lose that. He directionally gets through, he gets out, over top. He just has no leg kick. So I would really work on just focusing on taking my knee, sitting like this and just practicing holding my knee to this position. And just as much as I can, it's not weight training, it's body training. You're training your leg how to get there. And so, but everything else, he gets good separation, and he gets that arm pointed forward, and he uses that fulcrum to kind of pull it. You see that the snap in his hips and his chest there coming through, and that's because of that front arm. So I don't want to nitpick either. I just think getting your knee up and working on that a little bit will get you a little bit more kind of power and velocity right there. But that's good stuff. He had good command. He's going in the right direction.
All right. HR, back to you. This is Maddie. Let's take a look here and give us your thoughts on Maddie here.
She can hit too, man. Here's the slow-mo. We catch her about mid-swing, though, because we didn't get the whole little bit of a load right there. We got into it. But she's got a pretty swing. This is a little bit of Freddie Freeman, folks.
Yes.
You know how she stays through this two-hand finish? And it looks like, to me, obviously this is a side angle, but she can take that inside pitch right here and flip it to left if she wants to. She stays through the ball, and she can pull the ball too. I think she's got huge upside in her swing. And I don't know, the angle of hitting a softball has got to be different than hitting a baseball. And I really think she's got a pretty swing. Really pretty swing. What about you, D-Ro?
She's crushing baseballs right there, Harold.
Yeah, I know. I can see them on the ground. She can hit.
Wow.
No, she's kind of got that modern up.
I'm thinking college softball player eventually.
One thing, comparing her to Freddie. I've had so many conversations. I live in Atlanta. Freddie lives in Atlanta. We talk hitting a ton. Freddie Freeman's won every award under the sun this year, right? MVP, Hank Aaron. He feels that he can control the 17 inches, and all he's trying to do every pitch is hit a line drive over to shortstop's head. And if he's a hair early, it goes in the chop house. And if he's a hair late, it goes opposite field. And if he's on time, he goes to dead center. He keeps it super simple. I think the greats keep it super simple with hand-eye coordination.
We had Hank Aaron on the Hank Aaron Award night.
That was awesome. I watched that. It was great.
He talked about the same thing. Tom Verducci asked him this question about when he was first starting, and one of his coaches took him down to lower fields, and he said he could not pull a ball. He didn't want him to. He had every ball to center or right center, and he knew he could pull a ball if he needed to or whatever. I mean, it works. I never did that. Maybe that's why I didn't do it. I maybe could have done it. If it was in, I'm spinning and swinging, man. Forget that.
Hey, in 2010, I signed with the San Francisco Giants, and I'm sitting at my locker. And then in 2011, Carlos Beltran comes over, and his locker's next to mine. And we had a chance to sit with Barry Bonds for an hour and just talk hitting. And you know what I realized? I thought exactly the same thing Barry Bonds thought, but I'll be damned I didn't execute the way.
That's where the similarities ended. Dilo, why don't you bring it on home here? This is 11-year-old Carter working on his lefty swing. Now, I don't know if we can assume that he is a switch hitter, but we're talking about Ken Griffey Jr. He's got the backwards hat going.
First off, I like you said, Roflo, I wrote down love the swag. And the one thing I noticed, I'm just going to pick out one thing. Jim Thome he talks about this all the time. When you're loading, let me get here. When you're loading, the knob of that bat should be pointed towards the catcher. And I want you to watch, Carter. Your knob is like this. You load almost this way. I would like to see you just get a little bit of cock in your hands right there. Bang. Here, get the knob of the bat pointed towards the catcher to create some power. If we could bring that back up, Harold, I want you to check that out because he's able to get the bat head to the baseball clean, and you could tell he loves the game just by like all his movements, but focus on the knob of the bat right here. It's almost like he never loads.
See, I never really noticed any of that knob of the bat load stuff until you and Casey and Thome and those guys started talking about that. I was probably more like this little guy. I think he's gonna be a big kid too, and I agree. If he can get the knob back into a power position, if you start looking at any hitter, eventually you're gonna get here, right? And if he can get to that point by moving your hands back, so if you're starting here, I mean, I would almost for a drill take the hands and put them here instead of here. Put them here because it's gonna force you to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Just as a drill, you're doing flip drills or something, put your hands here. It's going to force you to get that feel. So I think a lot of times we say, move your hands back. Nobody knows what it feels like.
Yeah.
So over exaggerate. Now I'm going to get there. Or if I'm right-handed, now I'm going to get there. It's going to force me to have to get my hands there. Because sometimes you start here, you're going, well, I don't know what you're talking about. It's over exaggerated. Now you feel the movement. You like that, D-Row?
I love that, Harold. That's perfect.
Good stuff. All right. Hey, D-Row, HR, Dempy, this was fun. Thanks for joining us. I know people got a lot of information out of it. Hey, we want to remind you that the Sandlot to the Show, that is something we do year-round here on MLB Network. Continue to submit your videos either on Twitter or Instagram. Use the hashtag Sandlot to the Show and make sure you tag MLB Network. And you can also, there's all kind of video and breakdown and tips on our Facebook. You go to facebook.com/Diamond Demos. It's just outstanding stuff from the most knowledgeable baseball people there is in the industry. So definitely take advantage of that. Dempy, D-Row again, HR, thanks a lot for your time. Happy holidays, guys, and we'll see you very soon.
Awesome. Thank you for having me, fellas. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Rob Flo.
You got
it. Happy holidays, folks.
Same to you.
See ya.
Want to break down that swing? Work on that windup? Be a better player? Get in on MLB Network's Sandlot to the Show. It's a chance to have your mechanics analyzed by MLB Network's former big leaguers.
Play second base, use this kind of as a steering wheel. Boom!
Have your parent or guardian post videos of you in action on Twitter and Instagram with hashtag Sandlot to the Show and tag